welcome. That's kind of a John Oliver start to the show. I do like that John Oliver saying, "You are with me, Laura Meeks, and we are here on Fly High Living." Our motto is "Dream On," which means to find a vision, do something with your life. This, I think, is for a lot of the things that I've learned. Finding a vision is so important. But once you find a vision, you got to go do something. You can't just find the vision. I've met a lot of people and coached a lot of people who are really good at making a vision, and then they wonder why it doesn't happen. And part of that is because you got to actually go out and do something. Your feet have to go do the walking before the vision manifests into life. So Dream On is our first. Fly High, which means to me, fly high means to do the best you can. The best you can with what you have available to you now. And a great story, if you've ever been hiking, Mary was hiking with a friend of hers, and the guy was ahead of her and said, "Wow, you ought to see the lake." She goes, "I don't see the lake." He said, "I know, you have to come up here. You're too low." So same thing in life. You got to go out and do something. And the interesting thing I find is that if you were to go out and just do something, then the next piece appears. And then you can go a little farther and a little farther. So it never shows up just like as a lottery win, bam, there it is, the whole thing. And then live adventurously. Sometimes you got to take some risk. Sometimes you got to go against the flow. Sometimes you got to listen to your heart. I'm teaching a course. Yesterday I was teaching a course on intuition and the ability for you to gather information. Information is coming into you all the time. But most of us feel that gut feel, that intuitive feel, and we think, oh, it's too risky. I'm not going to go that way. I'm just going to stick to the main path that everybody else is on. But as you know, the path that everybody else is on is most likely not the path you want to be on. You want to be on the really good path to your life, to the life that's going to make you happy. And that is a lot of what I do here at Fly High Living. That's my business. So if you want to delve in deeper, I'm always available. I have coaching programs, I have webinars, I have a whole bunch of things for you to investigate. If you're out here in the local area, I'm teaching a 3-week course on the 6 mental faculties. And that is also a recurring show that you can see if you're out here in the valley. So all of that, flyhighliving.com. And if you want to email me, Laura at flyhighliving, if you hear me say anything that you really want. One quick note, because as I was coming back from the bank this morning, we got a phone call. And it was from my brother who's trying to find a place for his friend's daughter to stay during Coachella. Now, one has to ask oneself, what is Coachella? It's a big music fest out here in the Palm Springs area, in Coachella, hence the name. But as you are aware, there is this coronavirus that's going around, and they canceled Coachella this morning and moved it into the fall. Which brings me to my next thing. How scared should we be about this coronavirus? Let's take it back to the principles that we know. And the principles that we know are the world is manifested by your thinking. So if you are thinking scary, scary thoughts and that the coronavirus is coming to get you, then it's probably going to attract it. That's law of attraction. So I'm not saying not to be cautious. I wash your hands. I'm starting to wash my hands 20 seconds for every time you do it. Somebody said, I think you have to sing happy birthday. I sing hallelujah, which is the first verse of hallelujah, which gives me, I think, about 20 seconds. So that be prudent, do the things that you need to do, wash your hands, stay away from people. But the other piece of this is you can't stop living. And I've mentioned this only because in my line of work, where we're building visions and building lives that you truly love to live, you can't stop living. There are people out there that are so afraid they stay in their house, in their room, and never do anything. And in so many ways, and many of us live our life that way. We do the safe thing, the thing that makes everybody get a safe job and get a safe retirement and a safe this and that. And next thing you know, you get to the end of your life. One of the things that I'm always amazed at is that when you do the research and you ask people what happened in their life and what did they regret most, the thing that they regret most is the things they never did. So I'm here to encourage you to take some risks. I'm not saying hang around large crowds. I'm just saying that you can take prudent measures and still go to class. I still had people in my class yesterday. I think one or two left or didn't show up because of the virus. But again, if you're healthy and you're okay and you're young, wash your hands and just go out and live life. So, talk about living life. Today, our guest is Ginny Weissman. Ginny is here, and I have to say, Ginny's been a friend for a long time. We've done a lot of things together. She's got some really exciting things that are going on. She has been in entertainment. She's worked in producing documentaries. She's written a couple of really fabulous books I'll let her tell you about. But she has lived a life of fun and adventure. And it has taken an interesting twist as she has gotten out here in the desert. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about. So, Ginny, say hi to the welcome aboard.
Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for having me.
We're here. So, fill in the introduction part. Tell us a little bit about where you've been and what you've done.
Okay, thank you. And again, it's an honor to be here with you and with your listeners. Yes, I have lived a life of risk. My joke is I don't need to go bungee jumping because I bungee jump every day. That's kind of how I feel.
I haven't bungee jumped. I'm not sure I'm ready.
Right, but every day I just every day I've been playing a song from Wicked called "Defying Gravity," and of course I sent it to you because of you being a pilot.
Yeah.
I just feel that that's what I'm doing every day is defying gravity, and no one's going to hold me down, which is one of the lines in the song. I have been very blessed with a very diverse and very interesting and I would say a very accomplished career. I don't know anybody else. I've never met another person that has done the variety of things that I have. And started with a newspaper editor. I was the youngest newspaper editor at the Chicago Tribune at the age of 24, let alone being a woman at 24. Editor of the TV Week magazine, which took me into a whole career in entertainment. I wrote about television, then I wrote for television. Oddly enough, I wrote a script in 1986 for Highway to Heaven, Michael Landon's show. And because the WGA, the Writers Guild, has to continue to pay you while that show is on the air, I got a $25.79 check the other day for a script I wrote in 1986. Now, if I had only written 100 or more of those, that would be significant money. But the fact that I got a check almost 40 years later was pretty exciting. Anyway, I wrote for television, as you said, wrote documentaries, A&E, the History Channel, Public Television. I even got an Emmy nomination for one that I did. Written a book on the Dick Van Dyke Show, on the Lawrence Welk Show. Ran a Mind, Body, Spirit publishing company. Published 16 books, many of which were carried in the bookstore at the center that we go to for spiritual living. I started a entertainment organization called Windy City West when I lived in LA to bring the Chicagoans together who were in the entertainment industry, and we did that for nearly 25 years. And then when I came out to the desert in 2008, I took what was my volunteer position at a previous church in the pet ministry and created as the executive director of pet ministry at the Center for Spiritual Living, which just celebrated its 11th anniversary last month, and very exciting. That means we're doing it this Sunday. Every third Sunday of the month, we bring pets, and and Annie have been volunteers. We do what we call the ooh and ah factor, where we carry the pets that we have up for adoption on the patio through the sanctuary at the end of the service, so people ooh and ah and come out and are interested in adopting. So we'll be doing that. Good marketing. So we'll do that. Yeah, you've been a new an hour, right? You've carried them through the sanctuary. You know what I'm talking about. And so this Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon, we'll have pets on the patio, 3 or 4 usually dogs, mostly dogs. Cats aren't too crazy about being out in the patio and having 500 people go by and look at them. So we kind of do those private adoptions for cats. But the dogs love it. And we've gotten over 300 adoptions in the past 11 years. And speaking of that, my little one wants to get out of the bedroom there.
Well, we can't hear it, so
yeah, okay.
It's okay.
Okay, so
this is the fun of live radio.
I know that's a fun.
Everything is going on back here.
Yeah, she was my first adoption. Yeah, she was a foster for the weekend, and we call it foster failure. You know, when you have them. Yeah. My joke is I'd pick me for a mommy too. You know, I am gonna have to open that door and let her out, or she's gonna.
Okay. Well. So as she
this is all part of being part of the pet ministry.
This is part of life ministry.
This is live television. Okay, live television. Anyway, so tell me. Long story short, so you want me to get into how all this got to me where I am today, right? Okay. So when you tell people that you've written books and written television shows and have started organizations, I'm an executive director of a nonprofit. They think you're living in a mansion in Beverly Hills. You know, that's what people think. You're set. You're going to retire. I'm certainly at the retirement age, senior lady here. And as things happen in 2008, when I decided to move out here, it was because my life had turned on a dime. Went back to Chicago to take care of my mother, companion care, till she passed away at 90. While I was producing and traveling and all that. And then in a short period of time, I lost my mother, my brother, my sister, 2 dogs, and my home, all within 6 years. And I have no children. I was married a long time ago. And if it was going to be, it was up to me. So I wanted to start my life over in Palm Springs, which I did in 2008, because the weather in Chicago and I never got along. Not in the winter, not in the summer. Too hot and humid in the summer. Too cold in the winter. They'd like me to come back. They'll have to enclose it, and then I'll consider.
I go back in the summer, right?
No. Too humid in the summer. No. Too many mosquitoes. And Chicago is a beautiful city. Beautiful city. It just needs to be enclosed, in my opinion. So anyway, so I moved out here. Don't mind the summer. I love the summer here. Hot weather does not bother me. And I started my life over again by going to the Center of Spiritual Living. Started my nonprofit, and I have family out here, of which I consider you and Annie part of my family out here. And my grandmother always had an expression that I didn't understand as a child: nothing so bad happens that something good doesn't come out of it. And while I love to have my family back, love to have my home back, all that, the miracle, and I like to say, show me the miracle here. The miracle that came out of it is I started a wonderful new life in Palm Springs. Now, living in Palm Springs is expensive. And when you're in the entertainment industry and you're over 40, that's pretty well over.
Yeah, especially as a woman.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Especially as a woman.
Especially as a woman. Thank you very much. I'm everybody's grandmother in entertainment right now. And my publishing company certainly sold books, but we never had a runaway bestseller. My books sold, but they were never a runaway bestseller. My documentaries did not produce residuals because they were a buyout at the time. So here I am as a senior woman trying to not even retire. I'm far from retired, but just trying to make a life and keep a roof over my head and my pet's head out here. And it occurred to me that was getting more difficult all the time. So I'm not an excuses person. I'm a solution person.
I like solutions.
So I found the solution, and that's what I'd like to talk about. So
before you run off to that,
okay.
Hold on a sec. One of the things that Center of Spiritual Living, Ernest Holmes, that whole theory is all part of what I teach and what I work on, and in the dream on, fly high, live adventurously. A couple of things that you've said so far that I want to kind of take a look at. One is that your life turned on a dime, and again, even if I went back to the coronavirus and said, to be absolutely safe, you could hunker down and just stay at home, but you have to live a life, and you can't just avoid every possible risk, and life has its own risk. And um, I think one of the challenges that I face in the coaching world is that there are a lot of people that, my analogy is this, is that people think that that the road of life has a cliff on one side and a wall on the other, and you're on this road. And if you just hug the wall, you'll be safe. But what I've learned is that life really is just a curvy road with a cliff on both sides. And you have to drive down the road. You have to know where you want to go, pick the road you want to be on, and drive down the road. And there's no just easy stay on the safe side always side to life. And so a lot of the things that you have done, you got to a spot where life turned on a dime. And the six major events, or a lot of major events in 6 years, was a big blow to the psyche. And I think a lot of people would have just crumbled and fallen to the side of the road, given that. And obviously your work and your beliefs have carried you much further down the road. So part of that, tell me about when you're deep in that, oh my God, my life is crumbling, what lifts you up when you get to that spot?
What we believe in the center, and what I came from, which was the Unity Church in Chicago, which is very similar. I like to compare them to the Catholic Church and the Episcopal Church. It's Unity and Centers for Spiritual Living are very similar. As our minister, Dr. Joe, likes to say, there's a little more Jesus in Unity. That's the difference.
I've been in both, and I like them both.
Yeah, I do too. And they both, have the same message that you're talking about here. What carried me through is the deep knowledge always that we're on a path, we have a purpose, and that there is a miracle everywhere if you'll look for it. Yes, again, 6 years of major events like that. Yes, that's enough to make you want to buckle at your knees. But I had no choice. I had no children, no family, basically. I have a niece in Chicago and some cousins, but nobody that was going to take me in. I had kids right now. I might be knocking on their spare bedroom door, but I don't have that option. Yeah, please clear out that bedroom.
I told my kids, go out there. You go outside and play.
Yeah. So if it was going to be, it's going to be up to me, as they say. And when I arrived here in the last day of June of 2008, I thought I knew people here because I had 2 sets of friends, couples I knew professionally who would take me out to dinner and everything. I get here and I call them on July 1st and say I'm here, and they say we're not, because I didn't know people left the desert in the summer. So I'm here by myself, and of course finding my church was the first thing. Terry Whitaker was a client of mine at the time. I sold her book. I was a literary agent. She sent me to the center, and I was able to continue the teachings and the mindset and the attitude that I needed to go, okay, I have to build a whole new life here. I'm going to find my peeps at the center, which I did, and created, the pet ministry. When I proposed it, Dr. Joe said, give it a try. 11 years later, we're still doing it. And it turned everything around. That's
another piece. So there's kind of 2 pieces there. One is the statement, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And it's interesting. I guess I have always kind of been on that side of the road in the sense that I have always been very independent. And in my life, I've almost been on the other side. It's like, don't you even try to guide me. I'm doing it myself. And in a lot of ways, when I was in college, this is kind of an interesting focus on that, because I think the ending of what I'm going to say is that yes, it is up to you as a person to have a vision, but there's literally nothing that you do on this planet that you actually do by yourself. This planet exists because we all are here. One of the funny joke where God is talking to a scientist, and the scientist says, we don't really need you anymore as a God, because I can make everything that you can make, I can make as a scientist. And God says, "Oh, that's interesting. Well, show me how you would create life." And the scientist reaches down to get some dirt, and he goes, "Oh, that's my dirt. Get your own." I was like, "Yeah, you can do everything you can, but you got to use the stuff that's already here." And in so many ways, that's a great allegory to the fact that, yeah, I mean, I feel in my bones that a lot of the stuff that I've done is kind of like, you know, I chose a path and I wanted to go in a particular direction. But in hindsight, even my flying, which majority of the stuff I did by myself, my mom still helped with a loan to get me started. There were a lot of people along the way that helped get me to pilot training. There were a lot of people that helped me get through pilot training. So there were a lot of people involved. So I do think that for the listeners, yes, it's important that you have to have a vision. You have to go out and do it, but we're going to do it with others. Now, the other thing that you found was a vision. So I'm going to say 40 days in the desert, you're wandering around, and then all of a sudden you got that tiny piece that said pet ministry. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start. Now, think about this. There wasn't a pet ministry in our center. So tell me about that. I know I'm going to start a pet ministry. That, because I think in so many ways that was a piece that has really moved you forward.
It has, and that's my purpose, and that's my passion. You know, we all have to have a burning passion, and saving the pets is my passion. Having no children, and I really wish I had grandchildren now. That's where I, have to. Everybody has to put their love somewhere, and that's where I love where I get the most love and put my love. But again, that Dr. Joe said, try it. I tried it, and we just had cake on the patio 2 weeks ago, saying it worked. It
worked.
So
11 years it worked.
yeah. But during that time, in addition to bringing the pets to the patio and adopting them out, I certainly came into finding out a lot about people's lives. We have a huge senior population at the center. A lot of seniors adopt the pets. I try to adopt out senior pets, of course, to seniors, which is a much better match than a puppy. And they do need to be saved because they're the ones that never make it out of the shelter if they don't get adopted. So that's been our focus. And during this time, I identified two pressing needs in the Valley. Homes for senior pets and homes for seniors with pets that's affordable. And we have affordable housing here, 2 to 3 year waiting lists, and now the waiting lists are closed. And when you're a senior, to begin with, 2 to 3 waiting lists is a long time. And then when they tell you it's even closed, then what do? So we have seniors becoming homeless here all the time, living in their cars. I've had people call me saying, I'd rather live in my car than give up my pet, or they're looking for a place to live and say, I can't find a place that'll take my pet or pets, and that they can afford. You have to have first rent, you have to have last month's rent, and you have to have a $300 to $500 pet deposit. Even if people are getting $1,500 or whatever from Social Security, it makes it totally prohibitive. Yeah. So again,
let me stop you there real quick.
Okay.
Because we're coming up, believe it or not, we're coming up to the break.
Wow.
I know.
Flies with you, Laura.
Wow.
Everything flies with you.
How did that happen? I have a special thing on time control. But so here's a couple of things. One is that audience, stay with us, because part of what you haven't heard yet is that her vision started with the pet ministry. Remember walking up the hill to see the lake. If you're way down below, you can't see the lake. You have to get a little higher, which means you have to take a couple of steps. So here is somebody who was going through the 40 days, came out with an idea. I'm going to work on this little thing called pet ministry. And with that little idea, she built a pet ministry that has lasted 11 years. But there's more to the story, because she is now in a position where she's seen another need, and she is on the verge of bringing in a great new idea for to handle this challenge of what do you do if you're a senior trying to live in your later life, because it is really a challenge. I've read an article yesterday in the week which points out how incredibly hard it is to get a rent below $800. So we're going to talk all about that. If they need to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
At ginnyweissman.com is my website, and my email. And so ginnyweissman.com is the website, and Ginny at ginnyweissman.com is my email. It's spelled GINNYWEISSMAN, and I'd love to hear from everybody.
Yeah, and for those that are, this is a real situation. I know a lot of listeners are in a situation like this. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that, and we will have a way to post how to get a hold of Ginny, because this is a really neat concept. So with that, hang on, don't go away. Stay on the radio, and we will be right back. This is Laura Meeks on the Laura Meeks Show. Right there. I can probably do that much. Hi, this is Laura Meeks. You're back on the Laura Meeks Show. Twice a month, we get together with some of the greatest people and the greatest ideas. Our motto is dream on, fly high, and live adventurously. If you are out there hunkered down because of the coronavirus, I'm hoping that at least you're here on the radio with us so that you can at least hear what's going on. As I said in the beginning of the show, you got to live life. Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York, was on TV this morning, and basically what he was saying is yeah, there's a lot of things. We canceled the PNB Paribas tennis tournament. 500,000 people come into our valley for that. Those guys aren't coming now. They just announced that they're going to cancel 2 Coachellas and a Stagecoach, which are 3 weekends in April, which bring in millions of people into the valley. They're not coming now. And I think there is a chance that there are some of you out there that are going, oh, I better get back into my little cavern and stop. And I'm here to say, one of the things that Bill de Blasio was saying is that it's got to be a balance. Life is always a balance. We talked earlier about how you have to take a look at what your vision is and go out and do it. You have to actually go out and do it. And you have to live adventurously. That's the third piece of that, which means you have to take some risks to get to where you want to go. Now, I'm all about prudent. There's some very prudent guidance. We were talking during the break, you got to wash your hands and then don't touch your face. But as I'm watching myself on the show, I have a video feed. I was like, oh, scratching my head. It's like, don't touch your face. And we were talking about, there is a viral video out there of a lady who's telling everybody on the news not to touch their face, and then she licks her finger to turn the page, and they're like, oh, dude, you just touched your face. You just told me not to do that. So yes, be prudent, wash your hands, stay away from people that are in the midst of a flu-like symptom. If they're coughing and hacking and they got a fever, yeah, I wouldn't stick around those people. But I was teaching class. We had plenty of healthy people. Healthy people can be around healthy people, and you don't necessarily have to worry about that you're going to die. So there's hit a balance. That's part of that. We're here talking with Ginny Weissman. If you do want to get a hold of her, and we'll post this somewhere in the side, but GinnyWeissman.com is where her information is. If you missed the beginning, she had a long career, a long, very successful career, but then went through a period in her life where a lot of things happened quickly. And honestly, you can't. I'm just going to be 65 this year. I can't get to 65 with not having had some of these things happen to you. So it's not really the question of whether it's going to happen. It's going to happen. If it hasn't happened a number of times so far, you've been living in a cave. So it's going to happen. You're going to take risks, and some risks are going to win and some are going to lose. But you keep plodding ahead and doing the things. And part of the story that I want to get to with Ginny is the fact that as she's gone through these challenges, she got, through the 40 days in the desert. She's like, okay, now I'm going to do something. She built a little vision. The little vision was, I'm going to start a pet ministry. This little vision turned into a bigger vision. 11 years of saving hundreds of pets. And now she's at a spot where she sees a newer vision. So with that introduction, Ginny, tell us, what is your new vision?
My new vision, Laura, is New Harmony Habitat, a sanctuary for senior people and pets. And what that means is I am looking for land in Palm Springs. I'm actually having met with the city of Palm Springs. I've got a developer on board, a construction company on board, and a product on board that's manufactured here in India that will allow us to build affordable, low-cost housing for seniors where we can have our pets. I can continue to save pets because hopefully there'll be more homes for them. And another whole aspect of that is that seniors are worried what happens if they go into the hospital, what happens if they die to their pets. People are going to have a community where they're buddied up, where they'll never have a concern about that. So we are making a lot of progress. It can be built so quickly that if we find land, we can have this built by the end of 2020. And that is so crucial because it is a crisis here now.
Well,
and every year that passes, it gets worse.
Yeah, now let's talk a couple of things that we've learned. I've learned from you, and this was interesting in the article that I was reading. Back when we were kids, one parent could work, and you could buy a house, and have a yard and a dog and a pig and fence.
That's my life.
One person could do that. And in those days, the recommendation was 30% of your income should go to housing. And that leaves you 70% to live your life and save some savings. Because remember, if you're young, you want to live, and yes, you want to go out and go to Coachella and all, if it only happened in October. You want to do those things, but you also have to save some money. I mean, our kids and I have had a number of discussions about save something because someday you're going to be my age, and unless you want me to come live with you, which is becoming, we are grouping. Actually, families are now back to grouping because this is a challenge. So part of the challenge is, especially here in California, people are spending 50-60% of their income just to have a roof over their head. And again, that's starting to lead to group living. People, you have a roommate, people are grouping together so that they can afford housing. So part of the to-do is to build a house that you can be in for less than $1,000 a month. Now, tell us the houses. Tell us about these little houses, because I think that this is a really neat idea.
Okay, we have a lot of casitas out here. They're called accessory dwelling units, and that's what we're envisioning here. My initial concept for New Harmony Habitat is 36 units in 18 buildings, which would be a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom with one common wall. And the material that we're making it from is soundproof, but more importantly, fireproof, mold-proof, and earthquake resistant. So we're living in a very safe, you're not sitting, you're not in a little shack, you're in a very secure place. And so we have a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom, and then a courtyard in the middle with a social area, barbecue tables, little doggy patch area, and then a mirror image of that across from it. So you have your own little community right there. And we want to keep under 30% of people's incomes. Right now, we, for the purpose of raising money in our business plan, we're saying the average rent will probably be about $600 for a 1-bedroom and $1,000 for a 2-bedroom, which would accommodate couples and roommates. And we're willing to work with people for 30% of their income, because then they can apply to HUD for additional, support. And that is well below market value here. But the most important thing is the first and the last and the pet deposit. That's huge to get into a place. So if you can get in just for that month rent and not have to worry about all the rest of that, makes a big difference.
Yeah, well, and that's a huge, this is a huge issue. Our son and his fiance live over in Hollywood, and I want to say they have 500 square feet, and it's close to 3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you, to counter that, my first house in Abilene, Texas. So if there's anybody out there in Abilene, I'm wishing you well. I'd love that town. But I bought an 18, and this was interesting. So I'm in the Air Force. I'm making like $1,000 a month. Okay. And I bought my very first house. It was 1,800 square feet, and we bought it for $36,000. So the mortgage was about 360, I think, a month. And we thought, oh my God, how are we ever going to live using a third of our income to just pay for the house? I mean, we still have to pay gas and the food, and we had a child at the time, and it's just like, oh man, that's challenging. And now you think, man, to be in 500 square feet for $3,000. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I will say, realize part of that is he's in Hollywood, so
Yeah, well, I lived in Hollywood.
It's got like a ritzy spot to be.
Yeah, but Hollywood, yeah, in theory it's ritzy, but walk down Sunset, or under Hollywood Boulevard.
Well,
I lived there in the 80s when I was when I was writing television.
I think it's Beverly Hills. It's not Beverly Hills.
It's not Beverly Hills or Bel Air or any of that.
Yeah.
But I lived in Hollywood, right on the street that led up to the Hollywood sign. It's called Beechwood Drive. And in the 80s, I had a one-bedroom apartment that was $800. And I had a roommate even then. I took the bedroom, she took the living room where we switched. And that was in the 80s, it was 800. I'm sure that would be about 3,500 or 4,000 now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So here's part of this. So here's kind of the challenge. And this is the piece I wanted you to talk about. So you went through the 40 days, you had the vision, you did the pet ministry, and then you find yourself in a situation where you are in an older age group and you have a limited amount of funds. And because part of what we didn't say is in that 40 days that there was a challenge with you had a home, it had equity, but by the time you got out here and the recession hit, the equity was gone. And so all of a sudden this pile that you had saved is gone. And so now here you are in a situation where you are over 60 years old and you are trying to make ends meet, and you're actually working to make your rent in an age where in theory, where there's a hope that there's a time where you don't have to work. But I think for most people, and for boomers in particular, we've spent so much on our kids and our house and our everything that very few people have really realistically enough money to actually live on in retirement. Most people are going to have some sort of secondary income. So I do think that this idea is great for the fact that you are now, these are in the neighborhood of 500 to 800 square foot units. So they're not
they're actually 400 to 650. Yeah.
Okay. So you're not talking mansions, but the point being is that this offers people a place that they can live on for 30% of their income and be in a community of fellow pet owners. So to me, this is a beautiful win-win scenario. So you have people that are looking for a place, people that are in the similar situation, and all who love pets. And like you say, all of a sudden you take an ambulance ride to the hospital and you're thinking, what about my pet? I'm, this is not an unusual situation for seniors not to have family that are going to rush over to your apartment and take your dog or your cat, take care of your cat. So in so many ways that offers this whole nother package to say, if I want to be in this community, I like pets, and you're going to team up with somebody near you so that you can say, hey, if I go into the hospital, I'll take care of your pet, and if you go in, I'll take care of your pet. So it's a huge win-win. I think this is.
It is. And I actually had a doctor tell me that he's had people in the emergency room who he knew had to be admitted for their condition, and they would not go. They had to go home and take care of that pet, and that's just not acceptable.
We've had friends, people in the Senate that have had to do that. I can't, I can't, my water's running in my sink. I gotta go home.
It really is.
I'm
That's
sorry.
basically what.
I know you need heart surgery, but I gotta go back.
No
And,
kidding.
and
And
it
so
is a
it
challenge.
solves so many situations. And to be, full disclosure here, I'm in that situation. I mean, wanting to work at this age, which is over 65, and needing to work at this age are two different things. Of course, I always want to do the pet ministry. I always want to be out in the community doing whatever. But when every month is oh my God, scramble to the end is not acceptable. I mean, it's just
Well, yeah,
exhausting.
you and I've had many a talk about how stressful this is when, you were expecting, based on the career that you've had, you would think that, you'd just be sitting around the condo and drinking mint juleps off the patio and looking at we had, I don't know if you looked outside today, there are incredible clouds over
Oh,
the mountains
gorgeous.
of Palm Springs. It was really a weird scenario in that we've had some rain, which we get 5 days a year.
Hmm.
But when the clouds left, there was just this whole group of clouds that hung or clung right to the mountain, and it was so cool. Annie took some pictures. We were downtown this morning. But now, here's another piece I want to talk about because we've only got about 10 minutes left.
Wow.
Another piece I want you to talk about is that you and I have had many a discussion about how the universe works and how what appears to be your biggest challenge is actually putting you in exactly the right spot for you to do the next thing that you came down to this planet to do.
Yes.
You and I agree. I think you're in that spot. So tell the people at home where you are and why this habitat came up in your mind.
Okay. So if I had not lost my home in 2009, when I was out here looking for a place, I had enough equity. I was looking at places I could put down a down payment, would be comfortable with my mortgage payment, with the Social Security that was about to come, and lost it all, and said, okay, now. So had to keep working to pay the rent. But it wasn't until I came up with this idea, and I've been doing it for 10 years. I mean, when I think of all the rent I've paid out here, and I've fortunately have had what we would call not great deals, but good deals out here. I've paid easily over $200,000 of rent since I've lived here in the last
Yeah.
12 years, easily. And of course, I had to generate every penny of that. Um, so to address your point, when I not only was looking at my situation, but the situations around me, and again, I'm a solution oriented person, I said, would I have had this idea if I mean, again, we're all looking over here too. I needed help. I wanted to help other people, and I was doing that through the pets. But if I had not lost everything, would I be looking at that purpose
Right.
with
Would
the
you
burning desire that I'm looking at it with? Because it's my survival as well as everybody else's survival. And I said, that's the miracle. Show me the miracle here. And the miracle was that nothing so bad happened, that something good didn't come out of it. And when I lay my head down at night, I know that I have worked all day, not only just to help myself, but to help so many other people. And when you think of 49 million over 65 population here, this isn't just for the Palm Springs area, the Coachella Valley, all through California, we are in a crisis spreading across the country. This is an idea. And seniors like to live in themed communities. They're living in RV communities or motorcycle communities or artist community. The
yeah.
pet community is huge. So to live in a themed pet community, to people, as my tagline says, New Harmony Habitat is a dream for a pet lover and a lifesaver for senior dogs and cats.
Absolutely. And I love that. And now, so imagine, if you're a listener out there and you're thinking, okay, I'm not in Palm Springs, I'm somewhere else. Perfect. Then you need to get together with her so that you can do this too. Because honestly, I've seen the plans, and how many acres does it take for
It
those?
takes 2 acres to do 36 units because it's going to be a retirement community. We are
Yeah,
going to have an organic garden to help people with their food budget. We're going to have a community center. We're going to have a dog park. We're going to have a mobile vet service to come in to help with the pets. And it's going to actually be, a community where people are going to be involved and help us rescue the pets. But just the idea of an organic garden, for people to have to,
Yeah.
how expensive organic produce is. We're going to grow it on our own property.
Well,
Yeah.
and in so many ways, so that the country is really looking how can we solve this issue, and I think this is just one piece of the pie. And I do want to kind of go back to reinforce the challenge, because in my life, those of you that know my story, I was a tall, white, college educated military officer and pilot. I had everything going for me. I mean, there was every door of opportunity in America. Realize I'm in America was available to me. And then all of a sudden I'm faced with this idea that, oh, I forgot to tell you, you're transgender. And I was thinking, man, I'm going to lose everything. But in the end, I've taken that challenge and turned that around so that that's my superpower. And I
Mhm.
think it's so important for people to understand that when you feel like you've just lost everything. I mean, take a look at where Ginny was. She had they had a career. I mean, this story is played out in humanity over and over again. I had it all, and then I lost it. And then you think, okay, that's it. I'm just going to lay down and die. And no, that's not why the universe put you where you are. The reason that you are there is to do something with what has happened to you. Maybe that's activism. Maybe that's voting rights. Maybe that's helping seniors. And I have to agree with you, Ginny. Had you been sipping mint juleps on the patio, the idea of spending hours and hours and hours to put together, to go out and talk to the construction people, to go to City Hall and pitch this idea and get people involved so that you can help people. I mean, think about how helpful that is going to be to other people. So would you agree that
I
there's
would agree. And the truth is, and it's hard to imagine saying this, but the truth is, I'm glad it ended up on this path. Yes, that would have been a much easier life, and I probably would have still done the pet ministry, but I never would have gotten to this point. And I know this is my burning desire. This is my passion. This is my purpose. And it just makes me feel that I'm not taking space up on this planet, that I am
well.
making a contribution.
Well, and I'll give you another story. You've got a couple minutes left. I'll give you another story, because again, the thing that you think is the worst thing is actually the thing that's going to help you if you can change your perspective. So part of the 6 mental faculties is perspective. You have to have the perspective to say, okay, I get it. I'm down here. So here I am trying to get to pilot training. I get offered a scholarship, and I think, okay, that's perfect. I've got everything I need. I need a scholarship to get into pilot training, and they offer me a scholarship. And then they say, oh, by the way, it's a navigator scholarship. And the guy promised me a whole bunch of stuff. I thought, hey, this is perfect. I'm 18 years old. I signed on the dotted line, and lo and behold, he lied. And I ended up being a navigator for 6 years after I graduated from college. So that's
Mhm,
almost a 10-year span that I
mhm.
was what I perceived to be stuck in the navigator field. And I finally got to pilot training, and I did really, really well in pilot training and went on for a full career flying airplanes, which is my passion, flying airplanes. What I learned looking back is, had I not, if I had gone directly to pilot training from my psychology degree into a hard science program, flying is a real hard science program, I would have washed out. I would have never been a pilot in my life. So looking back, for 6 years, I'm screaming, I've been done wrong. There are people that are graduated already, and I'm still not even at pilot training. But in the end, it was the thing that really made it happen for me. And I think in so many ways that what part of what we all have to do when we're taking a look at the stuff that's going on is we have to realize that whatever is happening for your greatest and highest good. And you have to start becoming aware. Stop being in the moment of this, I'm done wrong, but start to open up your mind. Sadly, I have to say that we burned up our time.
It went by like that.
We burned up like that. I told you it was going to go by fast.
Yeah.
So again, I want to thank Ginny. Thanks for coming.
you.
This, it's an incredible story. And if you want to get a hold of Ginny, it's GinnyWeissman.com. Ginne.
Why?
Ginny. Well, you spell it so that I don't get it wrong.
Okay, Ginny, and it's G, not J. Ginny Weissman, Weissman. And I want to leave your viewers with, instead of ever saying "Why me," say "Show me the miracle."
Show me the miracle. With that, I got to tell you, it's been a great day. I wish you all well. Remember to dream on, fly high, live adventurously, wash your hands for 20 seconds. Everything will be fine. This is Laura Meeks on the Laura Meeks Show. Have a great day.